Hello and a very warm welcome. You're watching Gravitas. I'm Molly Gambhir. Lots lined up. Let's get started.
Gravitas, presented by Amity University, ranked amongst the top 3% universities globally. Co-powered by Star Health Insurance, the health insurance specialist.
In October 2020, India's financial hub Mumbai witnessed widespread power outage. It went on for several hours. The city's lifeline, its train services were disrupted. The outage threw life out of gear. Why am I bringing that up tonight? Because of a claim that has sent shockwaves across India. Was China behind that blackout in Mumbai? Before we dig deeper and tell you more, there's another report. It says Chinese hackers backed by the Chinese state targeted two vaccine makers in India, Bharat Biotech and the Serum Institute of India. Tonight on Gravitas, we decode what the reports are saying and tell you more about how China could be taking things a step further and conducting cyber warfare. I'm Molly Gambhir. Also on the show for you tonight, Myanmar witnessed its deadliest day of the anti-coup protests. 18 were killed. Widespread unrest continues. What lies next for the country? What is the international community doing? We get you a special report. Donald Trump makes a comeback on the political stage, teases running in the 2024 election, but his troubles are far from over. We tell you more. The world's richest countries have bought 1 billion doses of coronavirus vaccines, in excess 1 billion more than they need. As the fight for vaccine equity continues to receive setbacks, we tell you how India is making a difference and leading by example. Welcome to the world of dangerous deep fakes, videos that are looking too real to be fake. Why are they a threat? We examine. First, as always, Gravitas Global Headlines.
Massive clashes erupted between Thai police and anti-government protesters outside the PM's house in Bangkok, amid a youth-led protest movement calling for the resignation of Prime Minister Prayuth Chan-o-cha. In a bid to bridge the domestic shortfall, the Pakistan government is mulling the prospect of importing cotton from India through the land route. According to a report, the prospects of gradual restoration of trade ties between India and Pakistan have suddenly increased after the two sides agreed to strictly observe all agreements on ceasefire along the line of control. Facebook has been ordered to pay $650 million in settlement over a U.S. privacy dispute between the social media giant and 1.6 million users in the state of Illinois. Facebook was accused of illegally collecting biometric data to identify faces in violation of a 2008 Illinois privacy law. Hungarian police on Sunday dispersed protesters at a demonstration in Budapest where thousands gathered to protest against lockdown restrictions. A nationwide curfew between 8 p.m. and 5 a.m. has been in effect since November 11th. Gatherings of more than 10 people have been prohibited. police in Kazakhstan detained dozens of opposition supporters who took to the streets of major cities denouncing what they called political repression. The ruling Nur-Otan party has dominated the political scene in the former Soviet Republic for almost 3 decades. Opposition movements have been sidelined, and with no seats in parliament, they mostly make themselves heard through public protests. Syrian air defenses were activated in the capital Damascus and its southern suburbs Sunday night to repel an Israeli missile attack. State TV quoted an unnamed military official as saying that most of the Israeli missiles were shot down before reaching their targets near Damascus. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on Monday accused Iran of attacking an Israeli-owned ship in the Gulf of Oman last week. He called Iran the greatest enemy of Israel. Iran's foreign ministry on Monday strongly rejected the accusations by Netanyahu. More than 20 million people across the United Kingdom have now received their first COVID-19 vaccine shot. British Health Minister Matt Hancock described the milestone as a magnificent achievement for the country and urged all the citizens who get the call for an inoculation appointment to get the jab. Novak Djokovic has equaled Roger Federer's men's record of 310 weeks as world number 1. The Serbian won a record-extending 9th Australian Open title and his 18th Grand Slam crown last month to consolidate his top spot in the rankings. He first rose to the mark in 2011 and is currently in his 5th stint, which began in February last year. Federer continues to hold the record for the longest reign as world number 1 of 237 consecutive weeks. The Catalan police have raided the premises of Spanish football club Barcelona in a search-and-seize operation. Several arrests have also been made, including that of former club president Josep Maria Bartomeu, who was forced to step down in October last year. The arrests are linked to the Barça Gate scandal from February 2020, in which the club was accused of hiring an external body to run social media campaigns against those opposed to Bartomeu's reign, which included first-team players Lionel Messi and Gerard Piqué.
Our cover story tonight is an alarming development in the India-China standoff. 2 reports hint at potential cyber warfare by China, with Chinese hackers allegedly targeting critical Indian infrastructure and assets, from India's power grid to even the vaccine makers of the country. Before I tell you more, let me be clear. As far as India is concerned, no breach has been detected. India's Power Ministry has said today that it suffered no data breach or loss. No breach has been reported by the vaccine makers too. But the prospect of a cyber attack from Chinese territory looks real. The first attempt was allegedly made last year when Chinese troops had not de-escalated. Recorded Future, an American cybersecurity company, has conducted a study. A copy of their report is on your screen. Let me summarize it for you. Recorded Future has found that while the Indian and Chinese soldiers remained locked in an eyeball-to-eyeball conflict, Chinese hackers launched a cyber campaign against India's power grid. According to this report, Chinese malware had entered control systems that manage the supply of electricity across India. A high-voltage transmission substation was also targeted, alongside a coal-fired thermal power plant. Perhaps the biggest claim is around a power outage that happened in Mumbai last year. In October 2020, there was widespread power outage in the city. It had lasted several hours, disrupting train services and throwing life out of gear. Was China behind the blackout in Mumbai? According to Recorded Future, this remains unsubstantiated. But there is evidence to suggest that there was a coordinated effort to target Indian load dispatch centers. These centers reportedly serve as a link between the power generation and transmission to consumers. Recorded Future shared its findings with the Indian government. India's Power Ministry has said in its statement today there was no impact in functionality. Just when we finished reading these findings, another report came out. This one is from news agency Reuters. It says Chinese hackers, backed by the Chinese state, targeted two Indian vaccine makers, Bharat Biotech and the Serum Institute of India. The two vaccine makers whose shots are being used for India's Wuhan virus vaccine program. Cyber intelligence firm Cypherma has come out with this finding. Chinese hacking group AP10 is said to be behind this. This group is also known as Stone Panda. It identified gaps and vulnerabilities in two areas: the IT infrastructure of the vaccine makers and their supply chain software. The purpose behind the attack, according to experts, was quite clear. They wanted to steal intellectual property. This could possibly mean the recipe to make the vaccines. Reportedly, AP10 was actively targeting the Serum Institute of India, which has the license to produce the Oxford vaccine, the same shot that is being used in India and supplied around the world under commercial contracts or grants. Leading tech giants and their apps were banned by India after the clashes at Galwan. But if these claims are indeed true, they are proof of how China is weaponizing its tech know-how and how it is conducting cyber warfare. What about the troop withdrawal from the borders? China pulled its troops back during the first phase, but it could replace them with drones. Later this week, the Chinese parliament will consider a proposal. It calls for wider deployment of more advanced drones along the border with India. Our next report tells you more.
These are Chinese drones, the GJ-1 and the GJ-2. If the Global Times is to be believed, Chinese experts feel these drones can be deployed along China's borders, including the border with India. The idea comes from a proposal floated by a Chinese legislator, Ho Yun, who also happens to be a commander with Chinese People's Liberation Army. Ho serves with the PLA Tibet Military Command. He believes China should deploy more advanced drones on the borders. So, on the 5th of March, Ho plans to push a proposal before China's National People's Congress, the annual gathering of the Chinese parliament. The report by the Global Times has more insights. It says the PLA deployed drones during the India-China border standoff that began last year. So far, only small or medium-sized drones have been in use. But they have short endurance. They are vulnerable to rain, and they face challenges in reconnaissance missions during foggy weather conditions. After pulling back troops from Pangong So, the Chinese press and social media platforms have been buzzing about Chinese drones and their capabilities. Over the weekend, a drone maker in Shenzhen commended two employees, claiming that they supported the Chinese troops during last year's border clash. The disclosure was a part of an article shared on WeChat. It was taken down, but the claims have been widely shared across the Chinese internet. The Chinese drone company claims its technology was used to conduct reconnaissance and that two of its employees, Zhao Bo and Shi Zilong, were present on the ground, embedded into the Chinese military units. The Chinese military has been harnessing the drone technology for a while now. Last year in September, the Chinese press had released this propaganda video, claiming that drones were delivering food to the soldiers near the India-China border. Ho Yun says by deploying bigger drones on the border, the PLA wants to resolve three problems: to see where people can't see, hear where people can't hear, and go where people can't go. Bureau Report, World is One.
And now we come to Myanmar. 28 days since the army seized power, the protests are escalating and so is the crackdown. On Sunday, it reached unprecedented levels. What I'm about to show you could be disturbing. These visuals of the Myanmar police shooting unarmed protesters. It's very important to note here that this was not aimed at just dispersing the demonstrators. The police did not really fire in the air. They fired to kill. A total of 18 protesters have been killed. The entire country is in a state of mourning. The United Nations says it is appalled. But what exactly is the body doing about this? Our next report tells you about Myanmar's Bloody Sunday and how the world is responding.
3 bullets were fired at this man. He was shot in the chest, belly and arm. He lay motionless as medics rushed to treat him. This protester lay bleeding on the sidewalk. Others caught in the firing risked their lives to take him to a nearby ambulance. And these visuals are from a hospital in the city of Dawei. Patients with apparent bullet wounds kept coming in as medical staff struggled to treat them. Many could not survive. A total of 18 people are said to have died on Sunday. The bloodiest day in Myanmar Army's crackdown on anti-coup demonstrators. Tens of thousands of protesters had gathered to oppose the February 1st coup. The Myanmar police unleashed a violent crackdown to disperse them. It appeared to use lethal force on unarmed protesters. When they resisted, the firing began. The UN Human Rights Office says it is appalled at the dramatic escalation. It has urged the Myanmar army to halt the use of violence against the protesters. New Delhi too has expressed concern. The Indian embassy in Yangon tweeted out this response, saying it was deeply saddened by the loss of lives, but the Myanmar army could not bother less about diplomacy. It has already removed its ambassador to the United Nations. Kyaw Mo Tun has been fired after he gave this speech at the ongoing UNSC session.
In that regard, we, the committee representing Chirangsu Hluttaw, CRPH, duly urged the United Nations Security Council and international community that aspire to build peaceful and civilized global society to use any means necessary to take action against the Myanmar military and to provide safety and security for the people of Myanmar.
Within hours, the Myanmar state media issued this response on the ambassador's actions, accusing him of betraying his country.
Myanmar's permanent ambassador does not follow the country's order and instructions. He betrays the country and works to help the illegal groups which do not represent the government.
There is no relief in sight for Aung San Suu Kyi either. The elected leader of Myanmar continues to remain in prison. Her lawyers say she now faces criminal charges. One pertains to violation of communication laws. Another accuses her of inciting public unrest.
He was charged together with President U Win Myint and Nibiro Chairman Dr. Miu Aung. 3 accused, all combined. So the Brazilian side added 2 more cases for Aung San Suu Kyi in this hearing. As we didn't even get this morning the signed approval of our power of attorney to stand as our defense counsel. Then the judge said he will instruct the police to make it possible before the next hearing.
Such actions are only emboldening the resolve of the protesters. On Monday, Buddhist monks carried out this procession in Mandalay. And not too far away, these children carried out a small march in support of those protesting. The chorus for restoring democracy in Myanmar is only growing louder. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Donald Trump is back. And when I say back, I mean back to business. Donald Trump recently gave his first major address since leaving office. He appeared at the CPAC, the Conservative Political Action Conference, America's largest and most prominent annual gathering of conservatives. It usually gives an insight into the future course of direction of the Republican Party, and Trump's speech signaled the dominance that he continues to maintain over the grand old party. He received a rapturous reception, and almost every statement that he made was met with applause, including one where he teased another run for the White House. Here's all you need to know about Donald Trump's comeback.
He's back.
Do you miss me yet? Do you miss me? A lot of things going on.
He's angry.
In just one short month, we have gone from America first to America last. You think about it, right? America last.
And he is prepared.
Who knows? Who knows? I may even decide to beat them for a third time, okay? Look for a third time.
Donald Trump returned to the political stage for the first time since leaving office. He appeared at the Conservative Political Action Conference in Orlando, Florida. The twice impeached former U.S. president used the grand stage to renew old grievances.
We won the election twice. I mean, think about it. Twice. The task for our movement and our party is to stand up to this destructive agenda with confidence and with resolve.
This was followed by some fierce attacks on President Joe Biden. Trump claimed the Biden administration was anti-jobs, anti-family, anti-borders, anti-energy, anti-women, and anti-science.
Joe Biden has had the most disastrous first month of any president in modern history. That's true. Already the Biden administration has proven that they are anti-jobs, anti-family, anti-borders, anti-energy, anti-women, and anti-science. In just one short month, we have gone from America first to America last.
Trump also took aim at fellow Republicans who failed to support him or outrightly criticized him. He missed no names and pulled no punches.
The Democrats don't have grandstanders like Mitt Romney, Little Ben Sass, Richard Burr, Bill Cassidy, Susan Collins, Lisa Murkowski, Pat Toomey. And in the House, Tom Rice, South Carolina, Adam Kinzinger, Dan Newhouse, Anthony Gonzalez, that's another beauty, Fred Upton, Jamie Herrera Butler, Peter Meyer, John Katko, David Valadeo, and of course the warmonger, a person that loves seeing our troops fighting, Liz Cheney. How about that?
At the same time, Donald Trump ironically promised to unite the Republican Party and refuted all reports that he might start his own party. Trump called the reports fake news, saying he's not interested in dividing the votes.
We're not starting new parties. You know, they kept saying, he's going to start a brand new party. We have the Republican Party. It's going to unite and be stronger than ever before. I am not starting a new party. That was fake news. Fake news, no. Wouldn't that be brilliant? Let's start a new party and let's divide our vote so that you can never win. No, we're not interested in that.
Donald Trump's address went on for 90 minutes. Besides political issues and name-calling, it featured aliens, dead people, and a surprising definition of Trumpism.
Where illegal aliens and dead people are voting, and many other horrible things are happening that are too voluminous to even mention, but people know. I mean, it's being
Defeated in November, impeached twice, and blocked by tech giants, the last few months haven't really been good for Donald Trump. His appearance at the CPAC was aimed at denouncing claims that he was slowly becoming irrelevant. His speech may have done well to settle those doubts, but his troubles are far from over. Trump's tax returns, something he tried to keep secret for years, are now in the hands of prosecutors in New York. The investigators are digging deeper to determine whether Trump engaged in tax fraud. The outcome could have a direct impact on his political future. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
And staying with the United States, Donald Trump says Joe Biden's first month in office has been a disaster. Not too sure about that. But Biden certainly seems to be struggling with Iran. Ever since he ran for the White House, Joe Biden promised to bring Iran to the negotiating table vis-a-vis the 2015 nuclear agreement. Forget about negotiations. Tehran and Washington are not even close to a de-escalation in West Asia. Let me explain this. In January this year, Iran carried out a ballistic missile attack on U.S. air bases in Iraq. More than a dozen missiles struck American bases in Erbil. There were no casualties, but the Pentagon revealed that at least 100 American troops suffered traumatic brain injury. Then came February, and Iran fired 3 rockets at an airbase in Iraq's Kurdistan region. A foreign contractor was killed, and at least 5 American troops were injured. This happened on the 15th of February. Exactly 10 days later, on the 25th of February, Joe Biden authorized airstrikes in Syria. Several facilities of Iranian-backed militia groups were destroyed. Joe Biden said this was Washington's warning to Iran to not act with impunity and engage in dialogue.
You can't act with impunity. Be careful.
Well, guess what? The warning seems to have fallen on deaf ears. Iran is in no mood to de-escalate, and neither is it in any mood to talk now. Last we checked, it had rejected nuclear talks with the U.S. and the European Union. Tehran has turned down an invitation for a discourse on the 2015 nuclear agreement. This is a big setback in the Biden administration's efforts to revive the agreement. Listen to this.
We have not had any bilateral discussions with the United States, and there will be no change in Iran's stance if the United States does not change course from the wrong path it has taken. We are close to 2 months since the Biden administration took office, and until this moment in time, America has not said a word about returning to the commitments agreed under the JCPOA.
So what is stopping Iran from engaging in talks? The first reason is the killing of the Iranian general Qasem Soleimani during the Trump administration. Iran wants justice for the killing of Soleimani, who it declared a martyr. The second reason, American sanctions. Iran says the U.S. must first lift the sanctions in order for any dialogue to take place. America says Iran must first comply with the nuclear deal for the sanctions to be lifted. It is a catch-22 situation.
The path that needs to be taken is a clear one. If the United States wants to have a place at the JCPOA table, it must first announce its commitment and return to Resolution 2231, and also lift sanctions effectively. There is no need for negotiations and bargaining for this path.
The fact is, the Iran problem is part of every U.S. president's inheritance. But Joe Biden promised to solve this problem. He said he would restore diplomacy with Iran without appearing weak. 1 month in office, he may be trying to not appear weak by bombing Iranian interests, but he is far from restoring diplomacy with Tehran. Let's now get to the big story coming in from France. Former President Nicolas Sarkozy has been sentenced to 3 years in jail. Sarkozy is 66 and has been convicted along with 2 former associates. Let's start off by looking at what the case is all about. Sarkozy has been found guilty of trying to bribe a magistrate who happens to be one of the 3 found guilty in the case. Sarkozy tried offering the magistrate a job in Monaco. This was in exchange for information about an inquiry into Sarkozy's political party. The case was based on telephone taps and was popularly known as the wiretapping case, or the Bismuth affair. Paul Bismuth is the name Sarkozy used to refer to himself during the secret phone conversations. The story of how all of this came to light is a very intriguing one. Back in 2013, French investigators had bugged Sarkozy's phone because French investigators were looking into allegations that Sarkozy received 50 million euros from Libyan dictator Muammar Gaddafi for his 2007 presidential campaign. The wiretaps pointed at how Sarkozy was in touch with the magistrate for information about another investigation. This was a case about allegations that Sarkozy received donation from L'Oreal heiress Liliane Bettencourt. While Bettencourt, the case was dropped, investigations soon began on the wiretaps. The former president was accused of corruption and influence peddling. Sarkozy denied it all. The 2-week trial ended in 2020. And earlier today, the judge found Sarkozy guilty of corruption and influence peddling. The former president was awarded 3 years imprisonment, of which 2 years were suspended. As for the remaining 1 year, Sarkozy may be able to serve it at home, meaning he is unlikely to spend even a single day in jail. This is a landmark judgment. Sarkozy is the second post-war French head of state to be convicted of corruption. Former French President Jacques Chirac was given a 2-year suspended sentence in 2011. He was found guilty of arranging bogus jobs at the Paris City Hall for his political allies. Chirac died long before the sentence was even announced. Sarkozy was the first former head of state in modern France to appear in court on criminal charges. Sarkozy is expected to appeal against his conviction. He has 10 days to do so. On to the question of what all of this means for Sarkozy. Sarkozy led the country from 2007 to 2012. He retired from politics in 2018. He is still very influential among conservatives. Sarkozy was expected to run for next year's presidential election. The sentence will put an end to those dreams. The former president also has another trial awaiting him this month. He is accused of trying to hide the actual cost of his 2012 failed re-election campaign. The case of alleged funding from Libya is also ongoing. Is this the end of Sarkozy's political dreams? Perhaps it is. Fans of Hollywood actor Tom Cruise were going gaga over his TikTok videos until they realized the videos were all fake. They were deep fakes. Have you come across the term deep fake? It is new age Photoshop. It gives a person the power to make anyone do anything on camera, say anything on camera. How does it work? What threat do these videos pose? Can they be detected? Our next report answers these questions.
President Trump is a total and complete dip. Now,
did President Obama really say this? We live in dangerous times, and we are not even referring to the pandemic. Way before the Wuhan virus struck, the world was already battling another bug. The fight was online and against deep fakes, aka videos that look too real to be fake.
Someone like Jordan Peele. This is a dangerous time. Moving forward, we need to be more vigilant with what we trust from the internet.
I'm going to show you some magic.
This video shows Tom Cruise doing some magic tricks on TikTok. What if we told you the man in the video is not Cruise, but his deep fake?
You guys cool if I play some sports?
The same man is seen playing golf in another video.
More for the audio experience.
And here, he's having a hard time balancing himself. Too real to be fake, right? Welcome to the world of deepfakes. Today, apps allow you to find and swap faces. Basically, you can make anyone do anything, say anything on camera. All you need to do is spend some time morphing a video. This is the new age Photoshop, and while it may look fun, it is also dangerous.
Imagine this for a second. One man with total control of billions of people's stolen data.
Did you know Zuckerberg never actually said this?
I owe it all to Spectre. Spectre showed me that whoever controls the data controls the future.
Also, Jon Snow never apologized for the way Game of Thrones ended.
I'm sorry for that. And I know nothing made sense at the end. When the Starbucks cup is the smallest mistake, you know you.
In case you fell for these videos, it was you getting deep-faked.
I'm sorry we wrote this in like 6 days or something.
In December 2020, the Queen of England was seen dancing on a table. The viral video was a deep-fake. While the video looks in the face fake, most deep-fakers aren't, and that's why they are scary.
I trust you will have the very merriest of Merry Christmases. Is that okay? Can I have a cup of tea now?
Today, one video can make or break you. Remember how Tesla stocks crashed when CEO Elon Musk was seen smoking marijuana on a live show? It took people quite some time to figure out this video was fake. Here, Tom Cruise is shown doing harmless magic tricks. In the next video, he could be doing something dangerous. Clearly, it is time for video sharing platforms to have deepfake detectors before things get worse.
Ran into Gorbachev.
Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
Vaccine iniquity has been our continuing focus here on Gravitas. We told you about it when rich countries were ordering Wuhan virus shots in excess. We reminded you about vaccine iniquity when rich countries were trying to block exports of life-saving vaccines. And today, we want to talk to you about vaccine iniquity once again. Because the world's richest countries have bought 1 billion doses of these vaccines in excess, 1 billion more than they need. This surplus is thought to is enough to vaccinate Africa's adult population. I'm referring to an analysis by the One campaign. It says 27 EU countries, Australia, Canada, Japan, the UK and the United States have already secured over 3 billion doses of coronavirus vaccines. Just look at the breakdown. Australia is home to 25 million plus people. It has purchased over 114 million doses of Wuhan virus vaccines, whereas it only needs around 60 million doses. Australia alone has purchased over 64 million extra vaccine doses. Look at the numbers for Canada now. Next on the list is Japan, the United Kingdom, the United States is also on that list. Look at these figures now for the European Union. Now, will these countries share the excess doses? As I speak, around 130 countries have not received a single dose of vaccine so far. It reminds me of something Antonio Guterres, the United Nations Secretary General, had said recently. Vaccine equity is the biggest moral test before the global community. It indeed is. And there is one country that has passed this test in an exemplary manner, India. It has found the right balance. India is not just inoculating its own people, but also healing the entire world. India is running the world's largest vaccination campaign. It began in January. India's priority was to inoculate its healthcare workers first. Over 14 million people have been vaccinated so far. India is now expanding its vaccination drive. People above the age of 60 will now be getting the Wuhan virus vaccines. Those above 45 with medical conditions are also eligible to get the shot. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi took his first dose of the virus vaccine this morning. The Prime Minister was given a shot of Covaxin, a made-in-India vaccine. Covaxin has been produced by Bharat Biotech and the All India Institute of Medical Sciences. India's Prime Minister put out this tweet. There is a picture of him getting the shot, and here's what he writes. Took my first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine at AIIMS. Remarkable how our doctors and scientists have worked in quick time to strengthen the global fight against COVID-19. I appeal to all those who are eligible to take the vaccine. Together, let us make India COVID-19 free. India is not just working towards making itself Wuhan virus free, but also helping the world fight the virus from China. Here's a photograph of another world leader taking a Wuhan virus vaccine. Nana Akufo-Addo, he is the president of Ghana and became the first person to receive a vaccine from COVAX. Remember, COVAX is a vaccine alliance. Its aim is to vaccinate poor countries for free. So this jab that Nana Akufo-Addo is seen receiving is free of cost. Any idea where this shot is from? India. Ghana was the first country to receive vaccines from COVAX. Vaccines from India landed in the country last week. There are some 145 countries participating in COVAX. They will receive around 337 million doses of the Wuhan virus vaccines by mid-2021. This is India helping the world recover from the Wuhan virus pandemic as the world's richest economies continue to be overwhelmed by the crisis at home. Workers at Amazon's Alabama warehouse are standing up to the retail giant. More than 5,000 of them are voting this month. The question, whether they should join one of the oldest retail unions in America or not. Now, in the past, Amazon has fought efforts to unionize its American facilities, but today, workers who are backing a union at Amazon want support from the highest levels of the American government.
It is the biggest push for a union that Amazon has faced. This month, workers at the retail giant's Alabama warehouse will decide if they want to unionize. On Monday, pro-union workers want the support of the U.S. President himself, Joe Biden. He released this video
propaganda.
Without naming Amazon, he backed the rights of the workers to unionize.
It's not up to me to decide whether anyone should join a union. But let me be even more clear. It's not up to an employer to decide that either. The choice to join a union is up to the workers, full stop. Full stop. And there should be no intimidation, no coercion, no threats, no anti-union propaganda.
That message was for Amazon. In recent weeks, the company has tried to block the voters by blocking an option to cast the votes by mail. If the voters vote to unionize, the Amazon facility in Alabama will be the first warehouse union. Increasingly, workers across America's tech giants are expressing their will to unionize. At the beginning of this year, more than 200 employees of Google announced they had formed a union, one of the first in an industry that has been hostile to organized labor. Reportedly, the move by the workers was prompted by growing ethical concerns over the company's work and culture in recent years, including the fact not all employees of Google enjoyed the same rights. The final trigger, perhaps, was the controversial departure of an artificial intelligence engineer. The Alphabet Workers Union now boasts of more than 800 members. Its members say they want to give a voice to every employee of Google.
All that we're being told is, here, just implement the decision that was given to you. And when we find that that's not fitting in with the values that we agreed to for the company, we're told that we have to leave. And we're, at this point, trying to make a firm organization that then will continuously fight for the values of the company so that as each of these different big moments come up, we can make sure that even if an individual gets pushed out for speaking up, their campaign keeps going on.
After Google, a union at Amazon could spread the efforts to unionize across big tech, with the American president endorsing the